It was past midnight when I boarded the last bus home. The night was eerily silent, the kind of silence that makes you feel like you're the only person left in the world. The streetlights flickered weakly, casting long, shifting shadows. The bus was nearly empty, except for one man sitting in the last row. He was dressed in dark clothes, his face partially hidden under a hoodie. I hesitated for a moment but then shrugged it off and chose a seat near the front, close to the exit. As the bus moved through the deserted streets, I couldn't shake off an eerie feeling creeping up my spine. Something felt off. I told myself it was just exhaustion playing tricks on my mind. A sudden jolt of the bus made me look back. The man had moved. He was now just 2 rows behind me. My throat tightened. I hadn't heard footsteps, no sound at all, yet he was closer. I stared out of the window, trying to ignore the creeping dread in my chest. But then, in the reflection of the glass, I saw something that made my heart stop. The man was smiling. But it wasn't a normal smile. It was too wide, too unnatural, stretching across his face as if his skin didn't fit right. His teeth gleamed under the dim bus lights, sharp and yellow. And then, he whispered my name. A cold shiver ran through my body. How did he know my name? I swallowed hard and turned my head slightly to look at him, but the moment I did, my stomach dropped. He was right behind me now. I hadn't heard him move. I hadn't felt a single step. But he was there, just inches away. "Are you scared?" he whispered, his breath ice-cold against my neck. I bolted out of my seat and ran to the driver. "Stop the bus!" I shouted. "Let me out!" The driver, an old man, glanced at me through the mirror with tired eyes. "Son, there's no one behind you." My breath caught in my throat. My hands trembled as I turned around. The back seats were empty. There was no man. No dark hoodie. No twisted smile. The bus driver sighed. "You're not the first one to see him," he murmured. "A man was murdered on this bus, years ago. Some say he still rides it, looking for company." The bus stopped, and I stumbled onto the pavement, my body weak, my heart hammering. I turned back, expecting to see an empty bus pulling away. But he was still there. Through the foggy window, his hollow eyes met mine. His smile stretched unnaturally wide. My chest tightened. The street was deserted. My apartment was just a few blocks away. I forced my legs to move, walking fast, then running. I needed to get home. I needed to be safe. I burst into my apartment, locked the door, and collapsed against it. My breath came in ragged gasps. I felt lightheaded, my mind screaming, it wasn't real. It wasn't real. Then my phone vibrated. I hesitated before looking. A message from an unknown number. "Did you think leaving the bus would make you safe?" A cold shiver ran through me. My fingers felt numb. I didn't reply. I didn't even move. I sat there for hours, staring at my phone. No more messages came. No knocks at the door. No shadows in the mirror. Days passed. I told myself it was my imagination. Maybe exhaustion had played tricks on me. Maybe someone had been messing with me. I returned to my normal life, but something inside me had changed. I avoided late-night buses. I kept my doors double-locked. Every time I felt someone too close in a crowd, my body tensed. One night, while scrolling through the news, my breath caught in my throat. Unidentified man found dead on abandoned bus, body shows no signs of violence, smiling at the time of death. The date. The bus number. It was the same one I had taken that night. My hands turned ice cold. The article said the body had been there for days, unnoticed by passengers. But I had seen him move. I had heard him speak. And then it hit me, what the driver had said. "You're not the first one to see him." A chilling realization settled over me. That man, he had been dead all along. And yet, he had still whispered my name. What if a harmless-looking man on the street was far more dangerous than he seemed? One night, a man named Chris discovered that sometimes, the scariest monsters wear a smile. Chris was a 28-year-old bartender who often worked late shifts. He lived in Seattle and usually walked home at around 2 a.m. His apartment was only 6 blocks from work, so he never thought twice about it. But one night, something happened that would haunt him forever. It was a Friday night. He had just finished his shift and stepped out into the cool night air. The streets were mostly empty except for the occasional late-night wanderer. As he walked, he suddenly noticed someone ahead, an unusually tall, thin man standing under a flickering streetlight. The man was wearing an old-fashioned suit, his posture rigid. But what unsettled Chris the most was his face. The man had a massive, unnatural grin stretching from ear to ear, as if his face was frozen in an eerie mask. His eyes, wide and unblinking, stared right at Chris. Chris slowed his steps, feeling uneasy, but forced himself to keep moving. As he got closer, the man suddenly took a step toward him. His movements were jerky, unnatural, like a puppet being controlled by invisible strings. Then, without a word, the smiling man began to dance. It wasn't a normal dance. It was a slow, eerie shuffle, almost like he was mimicking a waltz but with no rhythm. And through it all, his grin never faded. His eyes never left Chris. Chris felt a deep sense of dread. He quickly crossed the street to avoid the man, but as soon as he did, the smiling man stopped dancing and turned to face him again. That's when Chris realized. The smiling man was following him. No footsteps. No sound. Just his slow, shuffling dance as he mirrored every move Chris made. Chris picked up his pace, his heart pounding. He kept checking over his shoulder, and each time, the smiling man was there, dancing closer, never breaking eye contact, never losing that awful grin. Now only 2 blocks from home, Chris broke into a sprint. He didn't care anymore, he just needed to get inside. His apartment building was in sight. But as he reached the front door, fumbling for his keys, his blood ran cold. The smiling man had stopped. He was now standing just a few feet away. No dancing. No movement. Just staring. Grinning. Then, he tilted his head. And charged. Chris barely got inside, slamming the door and locking it. His breath came in ragged gasps as he pressed his ear against the door, listening. Silence. He peeked out through the peephole. The street was empty. The smiling man was gone. Chris never saw him again, but he never walked home alone after that night. And even now, years later, he sometimes wakes up in the middle of the night with a single thought burning in his mind. What if I hadn't locked the door in time? This story is based on a real encounter from multiple eyewitness accounts. Many believe the smiling man was a deranged stalker, while others think he was something much worse, something not human. So the next time you see someone standing alone, smiling just a little too wide, turn around. If you enjoyed this terrifying true story, make sure to like and subscribe for more chilling tales.